Yes, how are you, beautiful people? It is yours truly, the Market Sniper. Glad to be with you. To be with you is nice. We're going to be talking about the crazy economic models. Of course, you've got the Fed who's going to talk about interest rates shortly, and everybody's going to be wondering how that's going to pan out. And we're here to tell you it doesn't really truly matter to any larger degree, whether it's no cuts, one cuts, or two. In the long term, rates will go higher. Yes, afraid to say it, particularly on the long end, but eventually on the short end too, as part of a debt-based collapse. The Feds will end up monetizing everything that is being created by them to manage the interest rate payments in true Ponzi-onomics Ponzi scheme. And you are all with us. There's 103 already, hitting 20 likes so far. We appreciate that. So let's go and talk about what I want to talk to you about. A couple of tweets that capture the mood. Let's first of all, and I'm hoping that I've allowed for audio to play, but in case I haven't, I'm going to put my microphone by the speaker. We want to hear Scott Bessent. And I also want to, let's see if we can get, oh, there's no subtitles. Okay, so let's get that up. Let's go back to the beginning and hear Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent is saying, just in case it doesn't come through loud and clear, if things are so bad, why was the GDP 3.3%? And why is the stock market at a new all-time high? So instead of admitting that things are bad, he's obfuscating and he is actually stating, but stock market at all-time highs, GDP is flying. So we'll be dealing with that. Let's hear him say it. Do you acknowledge, he says to his microphone, because he's also holding it against the speaker, do you acknowledge that this is a tax on your own citizens? And he says, no. What a liar, a straight liar. So let's hear that bit again and continue with the clip. So he makes a little jibe at Goldman Sachs. But actually, I'm with Goldman Sachs on this one. Some of the guys saying the audio is perfect. Oh, my apologies for the share screen. Let's do that again. Damn. I apologize, guys. Let's get that going and share the screen so that you can see him say it. Maybe you'll lip read better. Let's play that one more time and do it promptly and clearly. There he is. And let's see if you can hear him say it. He's quoting Goldman Sachs, who did a survey, who asked businesses what they're going to do, who said they were going to increase prices. Are you actually calling Goldman Sachs a liar? I'm happy with that one. But are you calling the businesses that are actually going to increase prices because of the cost of tariffs that are now being applied on them? That's going to end up an inflationary effect and an increase in consumer prices for the Americans. We said it from the beginning on this channel. Tariffs are a tacit tax on Americans for buying imported goods. By the way, American manufacturers will still use imported parts and bits and pieces from everywhere. So even that which you think is 100% domestic is probably not entirely domestic and will face some degree of tariff taxation on the bits that aren't. And obviously on the entirely imported aspects, you're going to be paying on the full total cost. Tariffs are inflationary. Hear me now. Key point. He said, no, wrong, lie. Tariffs are inflationary on the US consumer. Let's talk about tariffs a bit more. I've mentioned this fact and I want to say it again. In the last 30 days, 30 billion was raised in tariffs. Yay, Trump, winning plan. I mentioned it again. 7 billion always was earned typically before the tariffs, round about this month, round about this timing. So the net gain, 23 billion. The borrowing in the same 30 days, 550 billion. So it's like I've earned a few pennies through this window, but I'm totally skint. I borrowed a few 100,000 from the bank on that window. I'm running such a great business. Made a few pennies, put the shekels there, the coins on the counter there, scrape, scrape, scrape. I'll put this towards the payment on 550 billion, borrowed in 30 days. That is, as I've said before, the better part of 1.1 trillion every 2 months. It's the better part of 1.650 trillion every quarter. Times that by 4, you're on 4 plus 2.4 plus, round about 2.5. And you're on 6.5 trillion a year. And compared to what you knew got in because of Trump on tariffs, 23 billion. 23 billion is 4.1% of that borrowing of 550 billion. 100 billion of that 550 billion that was borrowed went out on 4-week treasuries. That means in less than a month. 4 weeks is 28 days. Small reminder in case you forgot. In less than a month, it's coming back and needs paying in full and rolling again, annual service and interest cost on it. Good luck. You're going to the small wheel that spins a lot faster than the rear wheel with the big spoke and hub on it. You're now spinning in the small one. And guess what? Things come back at you a lot quicker, a lot faster. For every revolution here on the 30-year, 20-year, 10-year long-term debt, you're spinning many times over here. That wheel is going to spin so hot, it's going to go white hot and burn and collapse. You can't roll all your debt on short term just because it's cheaper. You will overload the short end in the end. In the meantime, the long end gets ever taller because the expectation is inflation, because we're cutting rates on the short end. More inflation to come. The higher the curve goes on the long end, that means the rates required on the long end. It will come again for the 30-year US, the 30-year UK, the 30-year Japan, and all the Europeans. Higher, higher. Inflation is the expectation when you are bringing rates down. Let's deal with this big anomaly. Interesting tweet here. Give the post a follow, Jean. He is putting up a chart with an interesting Asian man who may have asked the original question. And the big question that so few people get is, how is SP 500 doing that? Whilst job openings that entirely imply a recession is doing that. Here's your job openings in the CV19 period. Here was the crash of 2009 job openings. The stock market actually followed. But here you're getting this huge divergence from the S&P 500s and the jobs on something that's typically had some correlation. At least you started to see it here. Yes, the stock market came down, but it rebounded very quickly. It preempted. It didn't come anywhere far down as the job openings. In fact, the job openings started to go down. And here, you're kind of at a replay of this moment over here, just on a bigger scale, a far bigger scale. Market up, but this. Jobs slipping down. Well, this is far from a slip. You never turned from here. You went ripping on the stock market there, yet the job openings down, down, down. This is a super spike from this. The question is, how can that be? How can it be? If you have the wrong economic framing, you will not understand why this is absolutely everything we've predicted, and the correct economic framing, when you have it right, explains all of these things. Thank you for checking in. I am watching the chat. Like and share, says Niels Han Dynasty. He's right. Do it. We can't hear what he is saying, Francis. I hope you heard it this time. I'm hoping that's an old comment. Basically, Besant, you just heard saying the economy can't be bad because GDP 3.3 and at the same time stock market at all-time high, which we're also dealing with in this particular post, which we'll continue to deal with. Whilst the lady asked him, mentioning Goldman Sachs, but also mentioning they had referred to the business world, and that the business world said they were putting up prices because of tariffs. Everything that's coming in is being tariffed, and many things are imports, and many locally made things have imported content in them, which are being charged higher because of the tariffs, especially if they come from nations with high tariffs. And that 23 billion I was telling you about is coming in price increases on a much larger scale on finalized products. There's very few things that are 100% domestically sourced that are being manufactured. Good luck also with all the items going into the likes of Walmart. A lot of the low-cost stores, Target, etc., will be having to raise prices, which is inflationary. As we said, tariffs are inflationary, and it's a tax. Inflation, remember, is a tax on your own citizens. So this "we're winning, go Trump, go USA" is cheering about taxing your own citizens out of any form of good that might have the remotest aspect of imported items, sub-items, or any offshore related and manufactured content, which means there are very few things where there are absolutely perfect substitutes. That means increased costs or buying domestically inferior products. And he's doing that part to fix the trade deficit, which is at a record to the China bloc and the European bloc, which is the great problem. The US runs massive deficits with these two economic blocs. And by making their goods more expensive, he reduces a little bit how much they sell in his country as taxation and punishment. Their solution is always taxation. Tariffs are a very sleight of hand taxation on the American consumer. It is 100% taxation on the American consumer. And it is a tax that is inflationary because it's going to hit a lot of things that are in the consumer CPI basket, which will include much needed things. So let's refer back to this tweet. Now that you're with me over here, we're watching it. And hopefully you caught up with that volume not coming through so great. So let's explain this. What economic model explains increasing unemployment and new highs on the stock market when typically the stock market follows unemployment? You can see when unemployment starts to go, the market should be going down, job openings should be going down. Obviously, job openings will be going down. This turn, going down, going down. This turned massive low into a super high, going down, going down. And now unemployment climbing, stock market go up. So let's get straight to it and show you our response. The framing is quite simple. You must start with the first statement. If you want to get grounded, you need a grounding core truth that you can nail in the ground every time. And I am the guy who says it's a debt and fiat-based collapse. You can say it how you like it. You can just say the debt if you want, but recognize it's the fiat too. I prefer to remind people of that. It's a US debt fiat-based collapse. That is your foundational statement. When you understand that, you understand the repercussions of it. The repercussions is the bond market has lost tremendous value. What happens when you have a binary investment world of bonds and stocks, and the bond market is turned into a busted flush after a 40-year bull market? It was on an escalator forever, going up 40 years is huge, long environment. And suddenly now it's taken the elevator and gone part of the way down. Both the fiat debases, the debt debases. People understand we're in fiat debasement. They crowd into the binary other market because this is a cyclical, long-term macro cycle that hasn't occurred in your lifetime before on this scale anywhere close. In fact, it's going to be historic for multiple centuries, millennia. It is that big a cycle. It's the most broadly, worldwide, particularly Western nation malaise, and it's going to knock through the debt markets of everything. And all those calling tops on gold, silver, and miners don't understand. It is not the time to be calling a top on miners because they've just had their first pump in absolute decades, having been managed down to penny stocks with incredibly low market cap. The silver miners market cap is still ridiculously low. The gold miners market cap is low. These things have a lot further to go. The gold price has a lot more to go. You're going to hear people saying, yes, but you should expect 40% or up to 70% down on the miners or 40% down on gold and all of these things. Ignore. The biggest buyers in the room are central banks, and they understand the death of a hegemon, the death of both the fiat and the debt instrument. The debasement in the debt instrument is the debasement in the fiat. It goes hand in hand, which is also why, given that the US was the biggest faller on the TLT short, it is the worst currency as well this year. You do not debase debt without debasing fiat. Some people think you're going to get a macro spike in the dollar in a period where the debt is being run down to zero, which is being based in dollars. And you have seen rates go up, and you saw the dollar go down. Rates going up are not enough to create a surge in the dollar. The offshore money is not enough to justify it. There is divestment coming from America. Why? Debt-based fiat collapse. The bond market is still hyper overvalued, manipulated, lots of nefarious actors and proxy buyers like the United Kingdom, Belgium, Benelux, Cayman Islands, Luxembourg. You know who the cartel are that are surrendering and doing a not-for-profit trade to maintain the Ponzi scheme. You know who they are. Those are not-for-trade, not-for-profit trades. China is not doubling down on Bitcoin. Russia's not doubling down on Bitcoin. Other nations, Singapore, you name it, they are not doubling down on Bitcoin. When you have a hypervalued stock market and a crashing bond market with fiat debasement, where the currency is going down, the bond instrument is going down, and to cope, you have a hypervalued stock market, the last refuge, you end up with a correction on the stock market and the whole lot goes down. A correction a violent sell-off will come on the stock market as it's most hopelessly overvalued, and that is going to be deeply troubling. And when that occurs, you will have debt debasement, dollar debasement, and the final refuge of equity market, equity debasement. You need housing price debasement, devaluation to be affordable, and you need interest rates a lot higher to deal with the true inflation rate that Donald Trump's inflationary policy of taxing his own citizens with tariffs has caused, because it's almost impossible to live with American-sourced everything. You will all face higher prices, even on things you never realized. Real American brands might have steel from offshore, Harley Davidson. You couldn't get more American. You may have componentry, switchgear, electronics, all sorts of things that are not made in the United States of America. Okay, so it's a debt-based fierce collapse. Then you have the gentleman, Besant, that told you you'd gone 3.3%. It's a strong growth economy. 3.3% up. How do you do 3.3% GDP? And I sit here and tell you it's recessional. It's recessional for that employment chart we were looking at. The jobs aren't being opened. Consumers aren't feeling good. It is a problematic market. And I refer you to that balloon that you blow, you know, the big sausage balloon that you twist to make doggies for kids. This is a two-tier justice system. It's a two-tier everything system, morality system. It's a two-tier prosecution system. Politicians get away with cacocracy, front-running statist awards to the MAGA 7 techno oligarchy that is building your surveillance state. They are all cheating that if you did it, you would be in huge, huge trouble. That's what's going on. And there is a two-tier financial system. There is a two-tier financial system that sees the MAG 7 be the development sweatshop for the surveillance finance system that could go global. Although I'm sure China's building their own and not relying on Amazon and Microsoft, Palantir, etc. But they are building the databases and they are being given vast amounts of government money. You no longer have capitalism, you have a mixed economy. A mixed economy is where you have disproportionate state involvement, crowding out. It's known as crowding out. It's an economic phrase. When a massive statist entity, bureaucracy, is participating disproportionately in the free economy and is crowding out and absorbing all the money, has the biggest spender, and the corporates pursue contracts with governments because they get lumps of largesse. They can send bungs back to their political buddies who are awarding it, and the insider cartel get rich at your expense. Then Nancy Pelosi can front run the announcement of a major contract being awarded on borrowed debt money to Palantir, to the likes of Microsoft, Amazon, and all the big technocracy. Larry Ellison on Oracle, the psychopath, along with his mate Bill Gates, that just had a 30% pump on a multi-billion, it might even be a trillion market cap equity, had over a 30% pump on terrible earnings. Who knows why? The insiders know why. To have such a vast market cap, make the most ridiculous percentage-based surge on terrible earnings, tells you they are being awarded and rewarded. The money is being siphoned off on a ridiculous scale by known psychopaths and kiddie fiddlers that run the CEO roles for these mega chosen one corporations that are imprisoning the planet, the great PSYOP. They are there. Government awards of corporate contracts to these companies with the associated cacocracy sees GDP go up because of all this expenditure, but not for you, between them in the other half of the balloon. We've twisted this balloon in half, and the one side is being inflated and the air is being taken from the other and put in there, and it feels flat and dull as a pancake. You live in the second class carriage, my friend. You're not where it's pumpermentals and government money. GDP is 3.3%, not in real terms, because the true inflation rate is a lie. You are here in hyperstagflation. Stagnation, the second half of the balloon where you live, the second class carriage for the citizens that aren't insiders, is bad. That's why the job openings here is down. Job openings down. They don't need to hire you. They're already right-sizing the planet after they've killed a whole bunch of you. They want less people. They want less jobs. They starve you out. They get all your assets sold out at the bottom. That's where you are. That's the stagnation of hyperstagflation. This is the inflation part. Thanks to the other half of the balloon, loads of fake debt money created by a government that they're securing against your tax receipts being sent to their friends that are bunging them back, and they front run the stock. They win on all ends. They make their mates richer, and their mates tell you when they're going to announce the earnings and how, what, why, and you front run and you make some more money on top of the bungs you were given by them. Cacocracy. The cacocracy of politicians front-running contract awards to build the surveillance grid, This is not capitalism. This is statist, state-based government awards that are actively involved with corporate fascist mega unicorns that were PSYOP, DARPA, CIA, all owned by Mossad, doing their big controllers wishing in becoming the rulers over you. And now, as part of a further merge of the statist activity, the bankrupt government that is being bled dry, doing bad deals, throwing big money that they've borrowed on debt at megacorps, now need to be sustained a little longer. So to add to their balance sheet so that they look less bankrupt, they're taking share ownership and doing deals supposedly with Intel and other corporations where they're becoming large minority shareholders in the very entities they seed funded at its birth and continue to make fat and rich at your expense. They now need some of that largesse on their own balance sheets so that they can stay alive. That is where you are. Job openings are spilling because of an economic contraction in the second half of the balloon. You, the consumer, are wrecked. The everyday SME is not looked after, is not getting cheap borrowing to expand. Your restaurateur, your man with a coffee shop, your retail store that sells leather jackets, they aren't getting large amounts of overdrafts thrown to become megacorps. No, that goes big billions of loans at very cheap prices, goes to the Mag 7 to build huge server farms for ChatGPT and Grok AI. And they will even push up your energy prices in your local neighborhood by crowding out demand for energy, crowding you out. And as a result, prices must go up. And you'll be sitting there using your ChatGPT asking, why my electricity bill go up? Next, as your neighbor server farm muscles out the next 10 hectares and gobbles up all the energy so that they can build their surveillance grid. That's where you are. Inflation statistics are a lie, and the CPI is far higher than stated. That's deflation. You've got the stag in the second half, the second-class carriage balloon, where all the oxygen has been sucked out of your lungs to feed the insider cartel in this mixed economy of corporate fascism and cacocracy that is self-enrichment for the insider classes at your cost, while putting it all on your tab that sees your currency get debased and your cost of living go up, as every ruse they bring brings more inflation that debases their borrowings but kills your cost of living. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. You have the two-tier financial system of Mag 7, the weaponized Zuckerbergs of this world that are gobbling Main Street with social media companies. You would think we have better things to create for ourselves that should be becoming trillion market cap, but instead you have FaceAche, born out of a CIA PSYOP called LifeLog. Yep, and given a little curly-haired brat to tell you privacy is over, get over it. That, my friends, is what you have. This is corporate fascism. It is Zionism. We have to talk now about this because there have been agitations. Your agent provocateur. Your agent provocateur. I wish the French had a saying for agent provocateur. George Bush might have told us. Elongated muskiness is now teaming up with Tommy Robinson, that known Zionist, Israeli-funded Muslim mad bad. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're part of a rape gang, you've got everything that you deserve coming to you. I wish it and hope for it in terms of justice. And I am anti the flooding of immigration into indigenous nations' last refuge of existence. However, you can blame the stick or you can blame the handler of the stick. And these two stop short of ever telling you who brought it on. You won't find elongated muskiness showing you the Barbara Specter video explaining how Europe can no longer be a homogenized society. It's a big transition, and the chosen ones intend to be right at the forefront of ensuring this transition and will be resented therefore. Thank you for your social engineering and explaining to us how diversity has been such a gift to these homogenized societies. You will not see Elon here on this page bringing up those facts. You will not hear Zio-funded Tommy Robinson ever do that. He wants to divide and conquer you into civilian war. He wants to divide and conquer you into civilian war. Who gave the drugs to these guys? Who showed them how to drug, psychologically abuse, and pimp out and gang rape? Who's done it for millennia? Who's professional at this particular job? Who brought you into that land? Who is the handler of the stick, we should ask? Who is the handler of this there stick? And you will see agent provocateur Elon Musk stopping short of telling you, tactically telling you to fight. To fight whom, Elon? Who specifically? Go beat Muslim ban in your homeland, who left after having his country flattened with bombs, for which the bulk aren't gang rapists, or the people that have driven this whole process. The third force, the hidden force, some might say, or not so hidden to some. That's where we stand. So economically, you are in a two-tier system. Your government is psyoping you that the growth is great. You've never had it so good, in fact, whilst taxing you with tariffs, debasing your fiat and understating the inflation so that it looks like growth, when in actual fact, if I increased your shopping bill by 50% from 3 years ago, you would claim it as 50% growth. In fact, you might be buying less of the goods and eating less and living less and having less disposable income, yet spending more. That is the principle of a debased currency. And if you do not truly and honestly state the fullness of those statistical lies, you sell it as growth in the economy. America is booming, 3.3% a year, they say. You've never had it so good, he will tell you. They lied on the unemployment stats. This YouTube channel sitting on 91,800. Thank you to all of you who have brought us to the foot threshold of 100,000 subscriptions. We are glad to have you. We are glad to have you indeed, and we appreciate you. This channel 3 years ago said you were in recession when you made a recession. And they said, never, never, never the employment market. We have monthly revisions, we had an annual revision, and we've now had a look back that went right from today all the way back to the Biden years. And more jobs upon more jobs on more jobs have been completely taken out of the biggest liar number, the non-farm payrolls. So the same people that lied to you when we told you the truth about how good their statistics were and you can't be in a recession because you've never had it so good, look how amazing the job market is, although you weren't exactly feeling it, are now telling you that the inflation is not there. They're now telling you that tariffs are not a tax on you, the American consumer, and are now telling you that the very companies that this lady is reporting are saying will be putting up prices because of tariffs will not have an effect on your cost of living. The same liars who lied about the labor market are lying to you about the inflation market. Known liars lie. Known frauds commit frauds. Known deceivers are deceitful. That is what they do. That's how they got the tag. That's where you're at. you are in a much higher inflation rate. We've given many anecdotes for that. There are many more. You can always pop over to Shadow Stats and see it. And despite people talking about the recession part getting all the news now, the lamp is being shone on contraction, contraction. Please lower rates on the short end so we can put more of our borrowing out cheap and spin that little wheel ever faster and faster till it breaks. But at least for now, we can semi-afford it until we collapse. Yes, they will do that. Watch the inflation. Watch your cost of living, America. And what goes for America goes for the United Kingdom. It will go for Europe in due course. It will go for everywhere. The Western nations are in the final death throes of a collapse, which brings you all the way back to the asset you must hold when you are dealing with known liars that are going into a parabola of deception and lies. A parabola of fake statistics that have lost all credibility by an absolute magnitude that they cannot be taken seriously. Nothing government tell you about statistics resembles anything near the truth. A captured system is a captured system. A captured system near death wants you to keep calm and carry on and ask no questions. We'll tell you no lies. The problem starts when you do ask questions. The lies will be guaranteed and epic. The scale has to be bigger. They are at peak parabola deception. And there is something that always highlights the truth, apart from the sniper circle, of course, which you too could become a member. Don't forget to click a link and book a call, is gold. Gold, gold, gold. And I explained, and I want to remind you all again, beautiful people, this is not gold, it's Monero. We'll be doing a crypto video on that. And we've covered it before and why it will be going up as well. By the way, it's one of the few that supposedly are private. I wouldn't put excessive trust in that, but supposedly. So gold, gold, gold is the great truth. And we are here to remind you once again of a 3,768 target on an upside HVF. And that there will be further upside setups, but you might have a pause if you're leverage trading at that juncture. And we're here to remind you that gold stackers can extremely accelerate their stacking by the use of HVF method. By the use of, instead of my 5-year-old drawing, here's the kid with a 5-year-old project, the summer project going back to teacher for show and tell. You can be small amount of gold stuck in one country, a job, and a small amount coming out of your disposable income, which is getting a lot less. Or you could strap on the twin turbos of HVF method, strap it on for those key moments with judicious leverage where the move makes you the money on asymmetric upside rewards and tight stop losses where you lose controlled at most minimum amounts on big time frames in a burgeoning bull market trend that is really just the beginning, that you're going to run into more top callers along the way, and you'll look at me and I'll say, keep bloody going. Keep on keeping on. You will hear that as every new guy that once was a bull turns, my God, we've done so much, it's time to run out. Cause 40% discount, a minus to fall 40 to 70%. Cause. You'll come back here, you'll get a slap in the face, you'll get a bucket of cold water thrown over your head, you'll be turned around, kicked in the backside, and sent further on down the road. Buying gold, silver miners. This is a scale and a collapse you do not know. We have not finished devaluing this huge debt that continues to be added to, that all has to be added, and you will know it when you see those interest rates deep in double digits with failure probably well before. Let's get it clear. And you will know, and they will bring other attack vectors upon you, probably well before it's at its final high. And when that clock stops, the only thing you buy is unobtainium. When that clock stops, you will not even be able to get the highly proliferated and available gold that is currently still very well available. You definitely won't get the more limited silver that sometimes has premiums, and you see the lease rates going up, and you almost certainly will not see nor hear of platinum in any way by that time. That is where you will end up. You will end up in that lockdown. Whatever chair you're sitting on is the chair you're seeing this out. If you don't have a chair, you will stand. If you don't have gold, you don't have silver. If you haven't maximized to get to the highest level of precious metals, you haven't 10x'd on those silver miners, 5x, 3x, 2x, grown your net wealth, you will be a poor slave who will be stripped by this system. HyperStagflation you have never seen in economic history. You've seen stagflation. You are getting the hyper version hereof, and it will give us upside HVF setups across the board of miners, platinum, silver, gold on different time frames, 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, daily, weekly. We will be taking them all. We will be winning more than we'll be losing. And the ones we win, we will be picking up 10, 18 R's, and the ones we lose, we will lose 1. We will end up with 5, 10 times more than the average stacker can hope to accumulate on whatever he's accumulating. That is why you have the twin turbo charge of HVF method. Plus, you will have the opportunity to own and hold that gold. You will have the opportunity to own and hold it outside of the West in other places, some of which you will own as part and parcel of your development, because if I can do it, you can do it. You have more time than you realize. You have real things. Everybody's sitting and waiting for the piano to fall on their head. Yes, there's some precarious moments, but believe you me, this is going to be a rolling, unfurling thing that could take place right into the 2030s, 2031, 2032. You have time. You still have time to achieve something. You've got no time to waste. Let's be clear. You've got no time to waste. But if you don't understand the economic environment that you're in, and you're sitting here and you're going, why jobs down, stock market up? I don't understand it. And if you're wondering what the hell is going on, it's all too wizardry for you. You should be thinking, how do I end up with optionality outside of the West, with gold and silver available and stacked safely for me, either in my property or in non-bank related holdings, investments, which we help and source and share, all of that available as a community member. How will I get my gold stack to be 10x what it is now over the course of the next 3 years while everybody else panics out? Not realizing until you've had the fullness of the debt downs, will you have had the fullness trajectory of the wealth transfer into precious metals? You can't be at a top in gold when you haven't finished devaluing the goddamn debt, because it's running from somewhere to somewhere else. It's still stuck in there. Bonds still have values. It's still got a huge market cap. It's worthless. That wealth must be transferred, and it's going into crypto and it's going into precious metals. And the most physically holdable thing that you can't have stolen from you is your precious metals. You have to understand this. Miners have their costs in a recession. People don't have jobs. There's no massive demands for huge salary increases in spite of the inflation. People are glad to still have work. Energy is wrecked. You heard it here on this channel. Short oil, go long gold. Short oil, go long gold. Where's your oil market relative to gold? Let's go and see. You heard it here multiple years ago. Divide by WTI US oil. This is the guidance you need on a non-advisory basis. Of course, we are not regulated or free to advise anybody. Gold divided by oil. Let's have a look at these charts. Oh boy, oh boy. There, of course, was our previous call in CV19 when we called single-digit oil that many people stopped talking about because we're talking more about our debt call. But let's not forget who stood on a stage in February, stood on a stage in November and said oil will go single digits. It's never happened in the last 35 years. On balance of probabilities, it's being deeply underpriced. There is something coming. And then we said, buy the gold, sell the oil. Gold started its run post the 2020 crisis into a high of 2021 while oil fell to zero. Here, you heard it first, before all these other clowns that are telling you 40% discount windows, 70% sell-offs in miners and everything else I'm seeing going on. You heard it here. You never heard it from them. You never heard it from them till it happened. It caught them in a moment of shock and awe. They never saw it. They didn't have the technical nous. We had that macro oil chart right there. This is how the barrels of oil has performed. And I don't say it to sound like a braggart. You've got to look at the macro charts to make macro calls. There are very few macro chartists around in the world, actually, that share free opinions to help people and give even more support and trades and ongoing updates for a community, a small community. You're part of the elite. You actually have a small community with someone who looks at the macro charts, and not just this person trains and has Top Gun leaders that have told to not focus on what people say, to look at the big time frame charts and to understand technical analysis as per the HVF method that cannot be taught anywhere else. That throws out all the garbage that goes with traditional technical analysis horse shit, like lagged moving average, which is a mathematical formula based on price data that has zero predictive value. You are brought back to the principles of what truly works in markets. Patterns and volumes, leading indicators. Did you get the word leading? That means before, forewarned. Forewarned is prepared. Do you understand? Forewarned is prepared. Retrospective analysis is for report writers and newspaper journalists that try to explain what just hit you afterwards. We are not that. There is no trade value in that. There is no investment value in that. We look at leading. Patterns, predictive patterns. You as a stacker deserve to have more gold, more silver, and it's easy because we're in a macro bull and just about every major continuation structure will break to the upside and we will engineer set and forget. You can be a truck driver. You just need half an hour in the evening during the week to put on your set and forget trade and find out what happened later with a managed loss that will be sized, never more than 1R and a small percentage of your account with hyper extended asymmetric rewards on your gains. Do you want it? Do you think you need it? You need options. You need more wealth. You need to be a man of the world. You need to have places you call home all over the place, and you can do it. And you have the time, but you have zero time to waste. This is the gold versus the oil chart over a monthly, lengthy period. And if I turn, let's take Tickmill out and we get the normal gold. I will show you the analysis that we did way back when all of this was done. There you go. We are resuming this upside. You were told here. That's when we started talking about it. You see that red circle? June of 2024. It's over a year, and we were watching it even here when it dipped back and gave the final small right shoulder, left shoulder, full left shoulder, head, big right, little shoulder, big dip, big shoulder, little shoulder, break. No one can teach you complex head and shoulders anywhere because no one's even knows about it. They don't discuss it. They don't understand it. It's our theory written, built onto and addended advanced head and shoulder understanding. Key levels of significance only with a flat neckline. You only project targets from price points, not angled lines. Everything philosophy-wise that you need to know and hear that we give away for free on this channel is to help you be better. Help you be better. We apply those principles, we embed them in your psyche, and you come out smarter, wiser, and a luckier trader. That leads to you being an amazing stacker and a prodigiously silent and violently wealthy person that nobody would suspect. That is what HVF method will deliver you. Click the link below to book a call. If it so feels like that is the kind of thing you seek. This is where you are with energy. Miners have a recession on their costs in oil. What is oil today in its flat price? We know that it's dying relative to gold. You look at USS oil, it was $86 when we first made our call. What is it today? Let's get that crash out of the way. 63. It is $23 lower. That is pure alpha in an environment, I remind you, of inflation. Currency debasement. This is a call to the weak side on something that's being priced in a debasing currency. That means it has a tailwind behind it, and still we said it goes down. That is the truth of your economy. That is the truth of your economy. Mr. Besant, you've never had it so good. 3.3% GDP growth, you lying pig. And no one's traveling, and no one's buying, no one's having deliveries, because the oil price that was $130 in March 22 is now more than half. What a growth economy that must be. It's a zero energy consuming growth economy. Everybody's frozen in ice and smoking weed and having a spliff and getting a fentanyl injection. That's the growth in your economy. Yeah, it's zero energy. Don't drive me anywhere. I'll just sit right here. I'll do my zombie pose. Yeah, that's your growth economy. Besant, you liar, you liar. Your pants are on fire. Ring a rosies, a pocket full of posies. We all will fall down in a synchronized debt-based collapse that is absolutely, absolutely guaranteed. Fiat and debt debasement, and still oil can't trade up. Is down 130 to 63. It's not even half. So there you go. Now you know how that economy works. Now you know how they lie. Now you know every government statistic they give you is debased, fraudulent, to maintain a narrative to best confuse you about the real state of the world. And I'm here to put that light on it to make sure you don't get confused by known liars whose goal is to bring so doubt in your mind about what the right course of action. The right course of action is that you should never be more skewed in precious metals miners of all varieties, silver, gold, and platinum, and in the precious metals, and you will fly. And the more chaotic and the worse the conditions get, the more you will fly. Every time you buy a gold bar, you are dumping the dollar. It's an anti-fiat trade. You are dumping the dollar. You're saying, have your shitty piece of paper that is debasing back. Give me something that is forever. And when you do that, when you buy a miner and you sell a Mag 7 stock, you're saying, have back your shitty techno corporate oligarchy of prison wardens and give me the source of real money. Miners' costs are at a recession and are going down, and their top line is doing this. And central bankers can't get enough. Central bankers can't get enough. They are the primary buyers. Institutions and the big monies can't get enough. And they're at 1 or 2%. And miners are treated like they've just come out of being the most ignored and hated sector of irrelevance. For decades, the market cap of silver miners is ridiculous. Nvidia is far larger than all of it by market cap. You can't see that money is going to leave America and is going to go into mining. It's going to go into mining. It's going to go into mining because of the cash flow, these hemorrhaging cash flow. Their margins are fattening at record rates without increasing costs significantly, and huge top line, fundamentals, where the pricing is still thinking of where the 2015-16 expectations are for it. This is growth. That's where we're at, guys. HVFs on the setups. Which ones are going to overperform? By how much? When to take a bit of profit? All the questions and answers that you need are in the truth that is the chart, the footsteps in the sand, not the known liars, not the confusers and the obfuscators. That's where you need to be. That is where you need to be. Clear your head from the BS. Don't listen to the liars. Get long, stay long. This is a decade-long trade investment. And you will come out smiling at the end. I fear for the world, but I tell you, that's coming anyway. I didn't make it. I didn't ask for it. These are the times we're born in. I'm going to cope with it. I'm going to thrive with it. And I'm taking the smart people who recognize that with me if they do the necessary. You need to click a link and maximize this massive bull market that is only getting started, for which the full debasement of debt and fiat has not even really got out of chapter 1 in a 13-chapter story. Okay, so you've been given the invitation of a lifetime right here, right now, with me. The decisions you make will determine exactly where you stand. And by the way, it's not waiting till the end. You will know very early along the way if you decided well. You will have that positive enforcement for correct action very, very clearly. You will continue to see the world far more smartly, with the right kind of laser eyes, infrared eyes that reveals all the ambush merchants along the way. And you will be gunning them down as you hit that autobahn at 320 k's per hour in your brand new spanking four-wheel drive Lamborghini with twin Brownings on it, mowing down your enemies along the way and seeing nothing but truth, facts, actuality, wealth, and honesty. And the gold is lighting that path. The gold is lighting that path. The HVF method is maximizing you, putting turbochargers on your engine and taking you home. But boy, will they try sidebar you. Boy, will they try take you off the main highway. Boy, are they going to try ambush you along the way with fake narratives and story. I'm here to keep you on track. That's it. Great to be with you. We'll be watching gold's progress. We'll be updating. We'll be talking about Monero and crypto, by the way, a privacy token, possibly worth having for some of you, but never be confused. Physical is physical. They want you in a digital system. You must have physical. Till next time, if you want to say thank you for what we do, but you don't want to join the community, you can use any of our links below to purchase some bullion. It's great to have multiple providers. It's worth opening up multiple relationships for that unobtainium moment where some might still have stock and others not. It's good to have multiple providers. You can also book a call and have a chat. By the way, for those, well, I'll mention this as well. There's some people that are stackers and think, oh, I think I might want to come on, but I'm not sure. We have done, and I will tell you all the numbers up front. You can have a 45-minute chat with me for $1,475. Some of you will go, that's ridiculously expensive. Some of you will say it's ridiculously cheap. That we will put towards and give you 10 days if you wish to purchase a self-study or a TMP. Special offer currently available. You can talk to me in person. I don't hide. I want to serve people, but I want respect for my time. And it can be a carryover credit to any future product. And if you don't choose to buy, it's fine. You've had a chat for under $1,500 with someone you wanted to hear from. You can ask me anything. I'll tell you everything, how I see it on a non-advisory basis. So there you go. There's a free option that we'll be doing for this week only. If you book a call during this week, YouTube followers this week, you can do it. I can't do it all the time. We've got a lot of busyness. You'll be given a link and you can do that. It's your no risk option. Francis, will you still be there in a month's time? Are you going to disappear? You can ask me anything. I'll tell you exactly what I think, because that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to be anything else. It's a perpetual job, debunking misinformation and liars and trying to keep anchorage in this world, escaping the fear and aligning with principle and truth is your way out of one of the biggest Marxist totalitarian planetary seizures that you're going to experience. And if you want a community that are based on that, you've come to the right place. This is an unafraid, belligerent, truth and principle focused community that are here to build wealth for themselves, their families, their extended families, their friends, and secure multiple optionality against a real attack vector that is the statists and the corpus fascists that they've funded, and their little cacocracy of circle jerk of money flotations with their bought off politicians, their Zionist controlled opposition leaders like elongated muskiness and Tommy Robinson with their memes. You want truth, you find it here. That's it from me. Have a great week ahead. Watch the Goldilocks, watch platinum, watch silver. We'll be back, and you can find out what we're trading in when you are a member of our community. Till next time, we talk to you then. Bye-bye for now.